What's up, Future Fighters? Zach here. We got a live stream event for you guys. This live stream event is for the North American Future Card Buddy Fight Facebook group, where we have assembled uh, our wizardly folks and our demonly folks to instruct us in the ways of Magic World. I can introduce our cast here. First, we have Christopher. We have
me, and that would be Chris Cologne, yeah.
Chris.
We have two Chris's in this conversation.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Christian.
Lovely.
Yeah, we have Christian, and we have next. Then we have Robert, and then the last one is that you, Bren?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, then we have Bren. So, first we're gonna start our conversations with 72 pillars to jump right into it, and I think Chris.
I guess I would be commandeering this one. Just to start, I have no clue where to start on this. I guess I could start off by discussing Omnimodi as a thing, because that is something that a lot of people do mention nowadays, I would say, right?
Yeah, what would you say defines pillars, I guess?
Excuse me?
What would you say defines pillars?
I mean, pillars in general has always been just a really, like, a versatile deck to me. It's just, like, everything from like control to just rush down, and then you could always just swap into defense if anything. That's always what I've defined as pillars in general. With Omnidai, it's literally just a giant wall, which is not bad. Omnidai is an amazing wall. I don't think anybody can really disagree. However,
a lot of Black Dragon players can.
Wait, hold on, what? Christian? What did you say?
A lot of Black Dragon
Oh, Black Dragon's a different story, because then it's like, oh, someone just calls Negravols, and I just cry a little. The worst part is I did that to someone actually was on the receiving end of that by me. I just called Negravols and Osmodai to Omnidai. It was horrifying. But that is my general blight when it comes to Omnimodi, because a lot of people do play Omnimodi as a general deck, where everything is just centered around having Omnimodi in the center, and just everything is just battle wizards, and that's how I roll, and just general stuff that the whole idea is keep Omnimodi in the center as a thing. However, as much as I do like Omnimodi, it's not something that works in every matchup, or at every point in a matchup, rather. A lot of decks nowadays in this meta have huge, and I mean huge amounts of destruction. Huge amounts of destruction. You're using your entire hand, and if not your entire gauge, to keep Omnimodi alive at this point. And alternatively, when it comes to Omnimodi as a deck, you're only getting like at most one attack. I mean, you pull out your size zeros. You have access to Count Dawn. You have access to the other Seele if you really want to. What's his face? The size 1 that turns to a size 0.
Follower Gap.
Yeah, there we go. Gap. You have access to all that, but however, in the long run, you're only getting one real major attack. If that just gets negated, you're just pretty much getting stalled out as much as your opponent is getting stalled out. So the game just really runs really long, and if your opponent just gets a lot of destruction, you're just screwed. So, in my opinion, Omnimoda as a deck is not something I really want to push as a thing. If anything, Omnimoda is something you will play in the deck. However, you would accommodate that with basically a good size 1 rush lineup, so you can always default back into a size 1 rush lineup. And if you're playing Body Dupe Modai, which is, in my opinion, one of the best cards in Pillars at this point, I know Christian's just nodding his head at this point, just like, God, I hate this card.
I don't hate it. I have 4 of them. They're amazing.
The Body Dupe as Modai? Is that the 0 one? Or?
Yeah, no,
Size 1. Size 1.
The size 1.
Oh, that one. Okay, Duplication is Modai.
Yeah. Or Squad Modai, as I tend to coin it. Yeah, he is an amazing card, and this is why I do say, like, you can always swap out to the size 1 rush form, because in my opinion, Omnimodi is something that you use either to stall out your opponent's resources if they're playing a deck that really can't deal with it. So you just have them stall out their resources, just slowly have them lose cards every 5 seconds, and then once they're out of cards in hand, you just swap into a rush formation, and you just go for game, because they've used their entire hand at that point, just to deal with 1 card. However, if you're dealing with something like, say, Dark Heroes, the entirety of Darkest Dragon World, that just will obliterate Omnimodi, Omnimode is not something you go early on. It is something that you go into late game when they've already blown all their resources on just trying to do damage to you, and should you have the natural defense for that, or you just rush them normally, you give them the Omnimode, and they're already out of their resources. It depends on the actual
on the deck you're playing against.
the deck you're playing against, but in the long run, it's either you're using it to like force your opponent's resources out of them, or you use it to punish them for using their resources.
I 100% agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
Again, like
But that's my opinion on Omnimode.
Dark Heroes, as soon as you drop an Omnimode, you just start to cry. You just hear Guten Tag in the back of your head, and you're just like...
No. See, that's one thing, but then that's why I say it's something that you wait till they run out of resources. I have called Omnimode against Dark Heroes, and there was a point where they literally couldn't do anything. Because I waited for them to call out like Schwartz like 3 or 4 times, and they pretty much ran out of cards in their hand. So I just called Omnimode, and they're literally out of gauge. Like they only have like 1 gauge. Like they're just getting the charge and draw gauge every turn, and pretty much they were just out of resources. And all I had to do was chuck 2 cards for Osmodai, and Schwartz dies, and nothing else could happen.
Yeah.
So as I said, it's a timed thing. You have to understand the timing of. When do I Omnimode? Do I have protection for him? Do I have, like, is there a reason to call this right now? Because it's not something you just want to call out, because in certain matchups you're just going to get murdered. Just straight up murdered.
I would much rather just sideboard into Omnidai rather than just have it in the main deck.
Oh, no. I main, well, then again, I main it because I body change, but which I'll get to in a second.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It is something I do main deck, at the very least at 2. It is a good card in Pillars, depending on your current build. I mean, again, as I said, I do play a size 1 rush format, though I do have quite a few size 2 Omnilords, which I guess we can discuss, like, Omnilord implementation into decks later as a thing. But that is a thing, and I just generally play rush outside of Omnidai, and then when Omnidai comes out, it's just there to wall and waste resources everywhere.
Okay.
So that's the thing.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that, like, in Omnidai, our deck, because I play, like, a deck like really reliant on the duplication, you didn't mention Wrestler's Modai at all.
Oh, no,
which is an amazing card.
Oh, no. I know Wrestler's Mode is an amazing card, and I would have gotten into it. It's just that I'm discussing Omnidai.
Okay.
No, I said as soon as we get to... If I end up, I mean, I could just talk about Body Dupe Osmodai right now. He's an amazing card, no matter, even if you're not playing other Osmodais.
For just himself, he's still fantastic.
He's essentially a 4 crit grade 1, which should never exist. That's essentially what he is. He's a 4 crit grade 1.
More like a double attack, really.
Or double attacking grade 1, essentially. Or triple attacking if you're counting in Mr. Champion Modai over here.
Oh, ew, come on.
I've done it like twice. It's already a thing.
I've done that in my Wizards deck, for crying out loud.
Yeah, he makes an amazing plays happen. He's just really versatile, hence the name. It's like it's everything from rush to you go rush by calling himself back out. You go for control by calling like Demon Lord Osmodai, bop the right and just hit the left. You get draw with Dance Modai. You get back your wall with Omnidai, and if you just want to just murder the world, just go for Chant Modai. Like there is a lot of versatility in the card, only because every other Osmodai is just that amazing, and being able to counter call Osmodai during battle phase is just ridiculous.
Evades removal, evades all kinds of
It's ridiculous, and even worse if you're playing Devil Fever, like I still am to this day playing. Oh God, I have done points where I have body duped and force retired cards on my field just to meet the requirements. That is a thing, and oh boy.
So many attacks.
Oh no! There was a point where I paid 1 gauge, which was a pill. I think I had like 3 pillars in a drop specifically, and one was a dance mode. I paid 1 gauge, which was a pillar, and sent body dupe to the drop, and called dance mode, and called that over a size 1 card on my field, which a size 1 pillar on my field to cause size restriction to cause a size 2 pillar on my field to go to the drop. Just the dumbest play in the world, but if you know what your setup is, dumb plays do amazing things. And dumb plays and pillars can do really amazing things if you know what
Magic World in general do amazing plays.
Well, not to feel inefficient, basically, because our cards are insane.
Oh, of course. It's pretty much you really have to think out of the box when you're doing any sort of pillar, and generally just a Magic World just combination.
Realistically, when it comes down, I mean, you have to be a couple steps ahead whenever you're making any sort of play with Magic World. Like, you have to know what gauge is going to be going where, what you still need in the drop zone to satisfy some sort of spell or whatever card you need to satisfy.
Especially if you're using wizards, because oh boy, setting up clocks are really annoying.
Yes, it is.
I would know.
Being proactive about your threats and your answers, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Also, this is maybe just me being crazy, but as a personal note, really do know how to manage your hand, and by that I mean know when you really need defense and when you really need offense, because especially when you're playing stuff that, again, is like Demon Lord, Asmodai, and Omnidine and stuff, you are discarding cards out of your hand constantly, and a lot of times, this is me because I have lent people my decks every once or twice. I have seen people chuck defense when they really didn't chuck offense when they really did need that offense for to make a play, and they just held on to stuff like Magical Goodbye and Solomon's Shield when that was literally just gonna not matter because my opponent was just gonna go off for game next turn anyway.
Yeah.
You really do have to learn when to just say drop your shield and just go.
I do agree with that. Sometimes, I mean, half a battle in Magic World is gauging the right card. I mean, because there's certain times when you just don't need, as you said, a shield. When you just need that extra little push, like another wizard or just another body on the field.
Yeah, I've always getting questions why did I drop a Solomon's Shield or
I didn't need it. I mean, I was gonna lose even if I had it or I didn't. So what was the point of keeping it?
Yeah, exactly. Or sometimes it's it would save your life. However, in the long run, it's not gonna win you the game because when it comes to the war of attrition, if I dropped another card that was even more useful in the situation, I would have died because I won't be able to last the war of attrition at this point. You just really have to know how to manage your defense. That's definitely a huge point when it comes to Magic World, I believe.
I 100% agree.
God, I went on a rant today, huh?
Yeah, so let me see if I can interject here. So it sounded like you were talking primarily about Asmodai.deck, from what I could tell, since you were talking about duplication, Dance Asmodai, Omnimodai, and some more jank with possible champion wrestler, or were you talking about the size 1 rush?
Oh, in general, no, because here's the thing, I run both. That is my personal preference. I do not size 1 rush is amazing, however their defense tends to be very lacking at times, and of course they can't deal with giant walls. Omnimodai has the exact opposite. Giant wall, amazing defense, and can get over pretty much anything your opponent puts in the center, however they lack the proper offense. My personal build is a bit of a balance of both, where I can go from offense to defense at any point, which is a thing.
Also, basically, aggro control. Okay.
It's a mid-range.
It's a mid-range.
You're able to push and take at the same time. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
What every Magic World deck should be.
So for your deck, the win conditions are primarily sitting on Omnimodai or Devil Fevering, or.
My personal build has 5 different. Again, this is why I always say pillars have a lot of ways of it's very versatile in how they win. I have a lot of means. I think Robert could vouch for me in one of them because he's why do people still play Diabolical Hardcore? I believe that was a round we had. It was just why? I still do play Diabolical Hardcore as my personal thing. I mean, a lot of people do are why would I play a 3 gauge burn card? A lot of people still don't expect it. I've still played Devil Advantage because of that. It's a very strange thing, but my personal thing is just keep your options alive. If you don't want to play hardcore, I would say just play another copy of Fever or something else. But in general, there are a lot of different ways. You just either go again grade 1 rush into fever. You can sit on Omni Modi all turn, or you can go, or my personal thing of just going for Omni Modi and then fevering and then just not caring about your defense at that point because Omni Modi takes care of pretty much every wall you have. With Negrovols, because there are other options when it comes to like the Omni Lords. That is also a whole other story. Negrovols with Osmodi is just ridiculous.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned earlier, I pretty much just murdered a person because I just called Negrovols Osmodi and they had size 3 with Soul Guard. Oh God. But yeah.
GG.
Take your damage. Let's say it again. Take more damage.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's pretty much like again, my build is a very awkward build. I will definitely say that. However, in my opinion, when it comes to pillars, it's always just a mixture of control and rush.
At least it's not Danny Guy Tree.
Wait, what? Okay, we're not discussing Citry on this stream, please. Can we all vote not discussing Citry? I think it speaks for itself, and it's not something that needs to be discussed. Oh God.
Okay,
I
so
have a question though for your deck build.
I have a very strange deck, so.
Run on the original Asmodai.
Oh, the original Asmodai, I still run 4 copies. I mean, I don't mind if people run like 3 copies. It is an awkward card to have at this point. However, it is still a very useful card.
Because I'm trying to fit it into my build, which like I think Asmodai of the 70 pillar builds is the most like versatile when it comes to wanting to go all out or stall or mid range, which is why I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But, like I find like other cards like No Brainer and like there are cards to replace Asmodai.
Oh no, I would mind you. I actually was gonna mention No Brainer at one point. No Brainer is an amazing card. I think in any, I think everyone here can suffice to say, if you're playing any variant of Magic World, at least two or three No-Brainers main deck, in my opinion. Just in general, it is an amazing card.
It's our only anti-soul card, really.
No, it's one of the best anti-wall cards in general, and oh god, combine that with Masseria. Remind you, Masseria also very decent staple, regardless of what you're playing as far as Magic World goes. Masseria is generally speaking, Soul Guard in Magic World is something that shouldn't happen.
But Masseria is just insane, especially when you have that Moda on the side, or the body. So you're getting 4 attacks now.
Yeah, Asmodai on the right, and Count Dawn on the left. It gets really ridiculous. Again, that's where the whole rush play goes in, which I do love. But yeah, No-Brainer in general, very amazing, especially in this format. A lot of things tend to have just that one soul that just really annoys the crap out of you. God forbid I mention like everything out of like Dragon World at this point.
Everything in like Danger World.
Even
Star
Star
Dragon World.
Because here's the funny part. Because this actually happened to someone, and I felt bad for this person. Not really, because he was. The thing is, one thing to know of with No-Brainer, you are choosing what you're picking up the soul. So I had a person who had Aster, who basically he did ST Jack into original Jackknife, one Dragon Arms and a soul, and then upgraded into Aster. The dude only had one Dragon Arms and a soul. So when I No-Brainered him, I specifically chose out that Dragon Arms. That is a thing. At that point, the dude has no protection. So literally, if they only have that one, No-Brainer just says you don't even get to live. And again, combine that with Myceria, and you have a dead anything in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, No-Brainer is an amazing card, and I don't think I can say anything else about it.
Okay, so do we have any other thoughts we want to share on 72 Pillars, or do we want to move to like Wizards and then start talking more after we talk about Wizards about some of the awesome support spells like the cards you would probably run in any variant, because Gauge is an extremely necessary thing in Wizards and 72 Pillars, so there's obvious cards there. Obvious cards you want to consider by running certain amounts, but I guess we could talk about Wizards as a whole now, unless anyone else has 72 Pillars they want to throw up.
I mean, I'm up for answering stuff, but I think I've talked pretty much about every single card in my deck at this point.
All right, Chris, with the new set coming out, are you even pondering running inverse Omnimodi in your deck?
Oh no, I forgot to mention. I do run 2 of it. I do run 2.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
It temporarily does what Omni Modi does, and worst case scenario, I get Omni Modi off of Death Modi, and then horrors has happened. But I digress.
Yeah. I want to ask what you thought about Fallen Demon Lord Rusafel.
Rusafel? What the not Omni?
The 4 gauge bounce
he's,
things and double attack. Cost too much.
If you get it off of Death Modi, it's amazing.
Yes.
Other than that, it's horrifying. It's I mean, with On Fleek being a thing coming out, it's okay, I guess. But the 4 gauge is way too much. Way too much.
I think it's just a dead card in hand. But as you said, if you get it off of Death Modi, then it's instantly there. That's a problem for them. And it's free.
Oh yeah, but other than that, it's way too costly. I think we can move on to Wizards. If you want to take it, yeah, that's what I said. If you have On Fleek, Rusafel's okay, but if not, it's just eh. But yeah, you can go ahead, Robert, Chris, and whatnot on Wizards.
Christian, go ahead.
God,
You can start, Robert. I believe in you.
I had an entire rant on like pillars, and you guys just got nothing.
It's because Wizards were in an awkward spot at the time. Like, and they're still in kind of like that awkward situation where they're getting some support, but not all of it. Like you want some more, but then you look so like more excited for this Energy 2 pillar support that can splash into my deck rather than the Wizards support.
So if it helps, they're saying burn Wizards please in the chat. So if that helps direct your conversations.
Okay, burn Wizards.
What can I say about burn Wizards? All of my friends don't want to play me because of them. Like
that's a way to start.
It's kind of disgusting when you can go like 5 damage turn 1, and turn 2 you could just go for game. Like I think Axia SD was just like the card they needed, or either that or Never Say Never, but the combination just made it way too good.
Never Say Never really helped them a lot.
Yeah, I can play your entire hand, burn for 1 like 4 times, get 2 cards, and just go for game. It's just people. I've had times at locals where like I was at like 8 life with Dungeon Knights, and he had a Shalsan in hand. And he's like, I dare you to burn me for 8. And after like a turn of playing like 10 cards, I was able to do it. It's kind of a really sacky deck to play. It's also pretty consistent, surprisingly. Even though I do run 8 weapons in it, people kind of like ask me why, but I just think that you can gauge them, or you can just play them over each other. And if you're not playing, well, I play Beckstein and I play Symphonion. So usually I play Beckstein first, burn for 1, and then I'd actually attack with Symphonion rather than like burn for 1, because that's too critical. And like other random techs really help it out when you have like Ideal Grown Berry Stew, where you just like either bounce or center and attack directly. Because if like, any open center deck, it kind of just dies to it, because you get like, with the burn and the criticals combined, it's just way too overwhelming.
What kind of defensive support do you run in that? What kind of defensive support do you run?
Type of support for what, sorry?
Oh, what kind of defensive support do you run in your...
I run, so I have 4 Magical Advice, I have 3 Shaman Shield, and I have 3 It's All Cool, so I like a 50-50 split.
Oh, I actually love It's All Cool. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people just don't respect it, but it is a good card in general.
What's that card do? Because I'm not familiar with that.
It's Battle Circle in Magic.
I'm sorry?
If you have an
Battle
open
Circle.
center, if you have an open center, it negates the attack. It's Holy Grail, essentially.
Oh, is that the guy that's on the... Rusi's on the couch and he's pointing?
Yeah, over there, please.
Also, just Gorgus, Dragon Wizard Gorgus is a really good defense, because there have been so many times where I call him, have 2 soul, they kill him, and I just bounce him back to my hand and call him again. I just have more, like, just...
Have you ever tried to deck with Happy Camper?
I run Happy Camper in my clock build, not in my...
yeah, I would know. I hated that.
Happy Camper to Gorgus is probably one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, I think you don't have the room for that in this deck. Personally, like, I don't know what I would take out. But in Wizards, I do it with like where I have the size 2, 3, and 1 with the Virginie Costa. I always do it to the 1, so that like the centers and the Virginie Costa live.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but I think that like it's the defenses of these like monsters aren't like
Stellar.
yeah,
They're
they
really
aren't
good.
good enough to verify playing it.
As you said, the only thing that would be there would be the dragon Corgan, like
Yeah, if people
Corgus.
are attacking your monsters, then they're gonna lose because you can outrush them.
Obviously.
Do you ever feel like the deck stalls out against something that can gain too much life? Say like blue Sky Knights. Like, do you just feel like the deck would ever wouldn't work?
Usually, what happens is I go into Never Say Never. I just waste my hand going into Never Say Never +2.
Oh, Never Say Never is
It
probably
keeps
the
the
best
tempo in the
MVP.
deck.
Yeah, probably the best MVP in anything that just wants to say, I don't like this hand. I'm just gonna use all of it.
Yeah,
I've done
Just dump hand, never say never.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I've done that. I've just like dumped. I just did like regular Demon Lord Modi and just did whatever I could and then just never say never. Also, burn Novaing and then following that up and never say never is also amazing.
I actually
Yeah,
don't
oh my
run
God.
Burn in my deck.
I've done that like on like 7 occasions. It's bad when I can count that.
The only Omnilords I run are Drum and Mazaria, and they might add in the Inverse Dawn.
Yeah, Inverse Dawn's interesting with that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because like I just don't think you have the gauge for Burn Nova in this deck. That's the way I play it.
Yeah, that deck's very, very aggressive whenever it comes out. I mean, because you're just trying to do as much damage as you can really fast.
Yep.
And usually by end game, you burn them so much they still have shields in their hand. So you don't want to go for like critical directly. You gotta just like ping them for 1.
Mhm.
So like mid game, like you don't want to go and attack because they're just gonna use Green Dragon Shield and gain their life. So you go with Breast Burning Wand game, or usually I end games with like calling multiple weapons. People don't expect that.
Yeah, because it basically just translates to Trans Flames in the long run. You're just paying like costs for Trans Flame.
Yeah.
How do
Well,
you
it's
do
like-
Realistically,
long-term
Magic Eyes are not only a defense, but they're also an offense, because you can just bounce whatever is on your field back to your hand and then play it again to get the extra damage in if needed.
There are even weird plays you can do where you have like you call Burning Wand, rest it, and then you call Ideal Girl Mary Sue, and you call Burning Wand, you can attack with them for 1 crit,
Yeah.
and like random stuff like that. That really helped.
Yeah.
And like you can still play things in center even if you have like the 5th only drum on the field, just as another defense. And it's really crazy. And Mazaria also helps a lot because Fort Great Big 2 or size 2.
Yep.
I use Delgis instead of base.
Use what?
But other than that, mine's pretty similar to yours.
Okay. So, anyone else here run Burn Wizards at all, or are you guys all about the Clock Wizards? And
I run a
I've
base
been about
build.
Clock Wizards.
My
I-
Burn Wizards is a semi-clock build. So,
okay, so just so I can get the basic principles out there for Burn Wizards. So, are you running 4 and 4 of Axias, or are you?
Yeah, that's kind of why you don't play Clock, because you have 4 of everything. You have 4 Axia, 4 of each Axia. I run 1 Mary Sue of the Ideal Girl, not the Searcher. I run 3 Gorgus, 4 Andy, 4 Burning Wand, and 1 of the Omnilords.
Okay, so I guess Andy's behind the principle of just conservation of gauge, makes it so that you can bounce Axia no problem playing the
You can do
game.
really nasty things where you call 2 Andys, and then you go into a Gorgus for free.
Yeah.
aww.
That's mad. Gorgus is, like you said, pretty nice though, just because of the rest and whatnot. Oh, rest, bounce, and do whatever. Because even if he has no soul, you can do the burn for 1 and then attack for 2 if you needed to, right? Can you guys hear the growling yet of my refrigerator?
I don't know why your refrigerator would be growling, but
It's like breaking.
usually it's the other way around. You're growling and you just go into the fridge.
Right.
The fridge is hungry. Feed it.
So if you have nothing else to say about Burn Wizards, I'd be tempted to just run right into Clock Wizards, because that's a build that I am quite familiar. I'm on the receiving end mostly of Clock Wizards.
For those that run Clock Wizards, how often do you just run one of Wizards just for number's sake?
I run a couple of 1-0 Wizards. I mean, they'd be somewhat valuable in my eyes to actually still run them, but I mean,
I have
Those are
2
going to come
variants
down.
of Clock Wizards right now. I have my I have a typical control wizard, and they have one that buddies the inverses Modi because he mills 3 when he dies. And it's just like, I think it's a lot better personally. So like,
that milk is huge.
yeah. So I don't run many one of those actually. I run a lot of spells that are wizards. So, like I run Happy Campers and I run nothing to it. I run 1 Tempest Wing and like some 3 ofs and 2 ofs and stuff.
What are 3 ofs and 2 ofs right now?
2 Renko Kosakis, 3 Genjiro Sakis. Let's see. 3 Happy Campers.
Do you run Weed Magician?
Who?
Herb Magician.
Oh, no.
No,
Like your Tenchiku.
Genjiro is just a better version of him.
Yeah, the 2 crit really makes him.
Yeah, 2 crit makes a huge
I
difference.
mean, I'm just saying for the sake of the name, that would always be an option.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with Weed Magician is just the fact that it has a 5k defense, which is still everything hits, and the other one has a 2k defense.
But how many clocks do you run in your decks? 'Cause I run 3 in my Asmodai build, because I might mill it. And then I also run 2 in my other one.
I run 2 to 3.
Yeah.
But no, never 4. I think 4 is just way too many. It's just, you can get in your hand and be like, what am I going to do with this card? It's so early, and I have 2 copies.
Yeah, when it comes to like finisher cards like that, like in Magic World, I believe like pretty much every build can just draw so much that you're gonna see it every game no matter what. So 2 is just kind of the ideal build, like in my opinion at least.
Yeah. In your
Potential gun on Siphon too. Like that's technically.
Oh, not my clock build. I mean, because I play Fever at 2 at the very least. A lot of people used to play Fever at 3 when I was a thing, and even then, I still played it at 2 when I saw it every game. So it's just something that you'll always see, even if it's just a 2 of. Again, I play 2 no-brainers, and I see that every game. It's just you'll draw into it, is what I tend to say.
You have enough draw power to just do whatever you want to. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you'll eventually see it when you need it, or too soon.
Like a 1 of is one issue, but like a 2 of, like you'll see at least, like you'll pretty much see it because you're going to be going through at least half the deck regardless.
So an important point that you guys started alluding to already is how many 1-ofs are you guys playing in the deck? And I kind of feel like with Clock Wizards, it's pretty helpful to run some 1-ofs, but I mean, you guys just get the straight up answer. How many like copies of cards do you actually play? Because there are definitely some useful cards in Wizards that you can see that Mary Sue or some other size 3s that may be reliant for a clock build. I don't know how you guys are building your clocks.
Like back in the day, whenever I was playing Wizards at Nationals, I ran 4 of Andy and the Ren, but everything else was pretty much 2 or 3 of those, just because I mean I want to see them, but Andy and Ren made the deck just go like just link attack for total of 8 damage and just oof. But yeah. So I mean you run a couple 1-ofs, but realistically, by the time you get to late game, you're going to have 6 wizards in your drop no matter what, just by paying engage, by things dying. So, I mean, running a bunch of 1-ofs doesn't really satisfy it. You already have enough wizards that are good in the deck.
Sounds about right.
I mean, you're fine with running a bunch of 2 or 3-ofs that are really good cards, and a couple good 4-ofs.
So for these decks, are you guys kind of relying on any of the size 3s at all to help fill the drop zone, or is it all just gauge cost?
It really depends.
It's a really good card, and then so is Restein. That card is oof. That's like my preferred turn 1 play. Restein.
Personally, unless I play Asmodai, I don't really rely on size 3s other than like Virginia Costa, but she doesn't do anything with the drop zone. I have one more question though about like Wizards in general. When I'm not playing the Death of Murai Inverse one, I have issues keeping like a field. Like what usually happens is they would like pop my center and just rush me, and I wouldn't have enough to guard that. So that's why I play the Inverse of Murai, because he has a big butt. So and like even if he's like popped during a card effect, you can still call units. And then I use Happy Camper also, but it's still like.
Sounds like you kind of want to combine Happy Camper with Soul Guard if you want to really protect your life.
Mm-hmm.
If not, copious amounts of chillax, I guess.
I think you're in 4 in every build I have.
Wow.
I usually run 2 to 3, depending like the deck that I was playing the other week with Robert, the Omni deck, I was ranked 4 up just to negate lifelink. But
Yeah, I think I run like 2 Chillaxes in my current pillar build at this point.
3 for me.
don't get me wrong, it's a very good card, but it's not good in every situation. And as Chris was saying earlier, sometimes you just need to learn when to gauge it and when to just keep it in your hand. Because sometimes you're just not going to need it.
What is that muffled voice in the background? I'm sorry, I had to adjust the elephant in the room apparently.
Sorry about that. It's I am doing this from work, and there's a resident that's really being loud right now.
All right. Just wanted to get that addressed.
Sorry
Anyway,
about that.
but yeah, where were we on this one?
I think we were kind of talking about Clock Wizards, but you guys have kind of like
we kind of derailed it a little bit.
Yeah, because it's like you guys aren't using size 3s as heavily, and the Clock Wizards I'm used to run like I want to say 12 one-ofs in the deck, and it's just like Tempest Wing's your go-to.
Oh yeah, I was about to mention Tempest Wing because that wouldn't be a thing. I'm not sure about you guys, but
I personally have champion wrestler in every single deck, even Wizards.
Personally, I have them in sideboard.
yeah,
I run one of in main board, and then sideboard. I make sideboard 3 usually for 2.
yeah. For me, I actually have 2 in my sideboard and pillars. Even though I do run change mode, it's still in my sideboard.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a go-to because it's not something that you want to use again in every matchup. However, there are matchups where it's like you'll have really annoying like set spells you're against, i.e. like 100 demons in the worst case. Demon Lords, that would be a thing, just kill their final mission card. That is a thing. Or just in general, like really annoying items. The entirety of Hero World. There are options where like you really can't. There's some things that you just don't have the option to control outside of using Champ Modi, and that is when you start deciding that in. Every other time though, Champ Modi just kind of gets bodied by everything, so it's not something you want to like. It's not something you want to opt into like at the start of a game.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I could see that. Some other good questions. So, for items for Clock Wizards, you got that the wand that burns for 1.
Symphonion
card
is a must.
Yeah, because you could gauge your great spell and then hopefully pick up if you don't draw a new one.
I don't main it, but I actually don't main that one, but I do side deck that same Gunrod in my pillars, only because that does work with Devil Fever for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Unintended, but it works.
Yeah.
It's basically, I mean, you play extra 2 clocks in your deck, so you don't really have to. You don't have to worry about clock being in your hand, so to say, the entire game. You can ping for 1, then dismantle it, and bring the clock to your hand.
Yep.
This makes it easier.
So how fast do your clock decks like run off? Are you going like you could do it first turn if you get good with the number of one-ofs you draw, or do you're playing for long term where you just kind of do your thing, like get a couple pokes in there and hopefully just end the game on the clock?
Because my key card is creation, I tend to go for 3-turn clocks instead of 2-turn clocks. Other than that,
I agree with that. Around turn 3 or 4, when the game's sort of dwindling down, they don't have as many shields in their hand, and you're just like, oh, I get another turn.
Let's go for game, guys.
But I mean, there are decks that you can build where you can consistently clock turn 2 and just be like all aggro. But if they live past that turn 2, you're kind of just like, oh, I'm out of resources now. So I feel like again, a clock 3 or 4 turn is a more sustainable clock. You're able to dwindle them down. You're able, even if you don't win that turn, they've lost all their resources, and you still have some in order to continue the game.
Yeah.
Okay, and the classic examples for you guys getting the requisite number of wizards in the drop are what, like Center of the World Mary Sue's cost, and
basically just controlling what wizards you engage, because even in your hand, you're not going to get all the cards, all those wizards in your hand, so you can gauge them in order to pay for Mary Sue or pay for their certain skills. like a nice one, like I gauge a wizard, then pay that wizard for the nice one, and that adds to my clock goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's much harder to get the quicker clocks without the size 3s, but with the controlling matchup, I guess the 3/4 is the reasonableness for being able to pay cost every turn and just get there.
Yeah.
Mhm. Pretty
So
much. And the only problem with the size 3 wizards is that they're really not that stellar when it comes to just being size 3s in general. They generally have weaker stats. Their abilities are good, but those weaker stats don't generally make up for them.
yeah, I think maybe the only redeeming part of them is most of them that you run have double attack. So I mean, for the turns that you do end up clocking with the size 3 wizard on board, you can clear and then still get some extra pokes in.
Yeah.
That being said, Tempest Swing is the size 3 wizard when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Nutter Butter.
Best uncommon magical card.
Super Seeger hate.
Super everything. Hey, I mean,
Ancient World has literally no answer for it.
yeah, they don't. Like they start crying as soon as they hit the field.
Yep.
They also start crying on Omni Mode, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Well, at least with Omni Die, they can actually change.
Yeah, and then also
And go around
Raging Spirits has an answer for it. They can drop the thing that makes it explode.
Oh, what, Kamina? I just call him
Yeah.
Kamina.
Yeah, I mean they have a pseudo answer for it, but they still have to drop.
It still gets to do its thing, though. So.
Okay, so were there any other builds that you guys had for Magic World? Because I'm only thinking of Burn Wizards, Clock Wizards, and Pillars, whether it be Size 1 Rush, Asmodai, or Chris's nice hybrid.
Yeah, I have a very
version-
strange deck. I will say that. I mean, I believe you guys we were talking about like Magic Omni as a thing.
Magic Omni. It's an interesting deck. I wouldn't say it's super fantastic, but it's definitely a ton of fun to play. Like it's.
And I did make the point, I believe, at when we do get Demon Musician Dukius, that will be that will definitely be a very annoying thing to do.
That will definitely be.
Yeah, for those who don't know.
Yeah, describe that for.
yeah. For those who don't know, it's size 0 on call. Discard a card from your hand to get any monster from your top to your hand. With an entirely Omnilord deck, pretty much anything that has already died or has been paid off for cost or whatever, you have pretty much access to your entire grave as far as Omnilords go. So one of us become one of us become 5 up as soon as they go to the drop. Yeah.
Because right now I'm using Trio for my Omni deck.
I'm using Trio as well. I mean, I've been playing with that deck for a while now. Robert actually played it the other week when he was playing against Jude. Like it's tons of fun, but sometimes, like as Robert saw, it bricked that one game. It felt so bad.
I just drew Tembu. I had Tembu. It was the last final card. My deck's out.
But definitely lots of fun. Pretty much with that deck, you're just playing inverse Omnidai and just pretty much just milling into every good Omnilord. Like you mill into a Grangadez, woo! That's
Well
that's a
played.
free card.
I believe I haven't
100%
been playing that deck. It was crazy when that happened.
And then especially like Grangadez and Pathetic, it makes numbers so weird.
Yeah, Pathetic is really good in any build if you're doing a size 3 build of Magic World. Unless you're doing Wizard size 3. Because I think we already discussed the Wizard size 3 is really awkward. But Pathetic is really good when you're just trying to wall everything.
Yeah, Pathetic, it just makes everything so weird when it comes to numbers.
So I guess that's a good lead-in, right? So if we can't really figure out any other builds, we have good Magic World support cards. So a number of cards that have been talked about. The first being No Brainer, which probably don't need to talk about anymore because
Still amazing.
100 Demons player, absolutely love this card, especially since I have all the double attackers to abuse it.
Oh, it's just as horrifying in 100 Demons as it is in Magic World. It's just a killer.
But another card that you guys talked about that is probably the MVP was Never Say Never being a huge help to these decks. That just made it made some of the resource trouble that they had just kind of go away. Just because you would have to do like you'd have to play 2-to-1 cards against Dragon World, from my experience. At least that's what it felt like for a while. And it was just so nice to get a card that's just like, well, if you did that, that plan where you were doing all this shit against Dragon World, they still had a million cards in your hand. You ran out. You have a card that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, there were a lot of times where I have just like went all in with my hand. I just would have nothing. Never Say Never just punishes you less for that, which is, in my opinion, just really amazing. And if you top deck, great. Like, because I've top decked a nice one on that, so it just keeps rolling. You just get to build up your advantage.
It's something that allows you to restart after you've lost all your gas. Like, if you get anything good off of that Never Say Never, you're just instantly back in the game.
So the question question I have though with Never Say Never is from my experience, I noticed that it's probably never a good idea to hold on to Never Say Never. So if you see it, you're probably just better off using it right off the bat. Would you guys agree with that?
Usually I hold on to it. Sometimes if I draw into a second one, I'll just gauge one because I won't ever need the second one. But it's always a good card to have in your hand just in case the situation ever comes up.
It's really situational as to like when you gauge and when you don't.
Yeah, because as I said, it's legitimately all about managing your hand at that point. If you know like 2 or 3 turns coming up, you're planning an all-in play, or you can like set up an all-in play. You're obviously gonna keep it because you're just gonna go all in. I think the one like thing that ever stops me from holding onto it and just lets me I just say activate it right away is if I draw into Burn Nova, because if you have Burn Nova, pretty much you're not going handless unless you plan on getting rid of Burn Nova. If you plan on sitting on the Burn Nova, which most times you are, you just say, oh, Never Say Never, just do it, because this hand is definitely dropping, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what other spells we could talk about. God forbid I mention how much I hate Great Barrier, but that's a different story. I went into that like the first time we had this conversation.
Great Barrier is just meh.
Especially nowadays, it's just ooh.
You see it, it's like, oh, it's a secret deck.
So do you guys still, like, just talking about the same type of card, do you guys still run Book 1?
First volume, second volume as an engine, I personally have dropped. I want to say it's still good in Wizards. You guys can vouch for me. I really
Wizards, I feel like you still need it in Wizards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you're running a very like thinned out deck. Because the thing is with my build, it's very I don't know how to put it, like tight as far as the lineup goes. When you're running the second volume engine, you're running it on the basis of I want to run 4 less cards in my deck, so I just fill it up with second volumes. I need that space in general, so it's not something I want to waste the second volume slot on.
Yeah, the first one.
Try to get to those cards. Like we're just trying to get to the cards we need at that moment, which usually we still have those 4 spaces open.
Oh no, I know that, but that's what I'm trying to say. When it comes to second volume, it is. I like to call it an empty card when you're putting in a deck list, because it's essentially just there to kind of fill out a spot because I don't want to run another card, and it's just like, here's a card that basically replaces itself instantly. So you're running, essentially, if you're running a 50-card deck and you're running second volumes, you're running a 46-card deck, in my honest opinion. And that's why I say it's really good if you're doing Wizards, because it makes it very consistent and just you get to your important cards faster. When it comes to Pillars, though, in my opinion, I have a very compact lineup. I think I already go over like the limit by like 1 or 2 cards already. So I really have no right to put in that second volume in that deck because I've already run so many important cards, in my opinion.
Okay, so other wizard support. So we already talked about some of the defensive spells like Chillax, That's How I Roll, the one with Roosevelt pointing somewhere.
It's all cool.
Oh, actually, since it is coming up, Barking Solomon, because that is a thing.
Can you describe that card?
Barking Solomon is a set spell where during your opponent's turn, if your opponent adds a card to their hand outside of their draw phase, you can discard 1 card out of their hand.
Once per turn.
Once per turn. That is a very important part to that. I do want to actually hear opinions on this one because I believe everyone has like mixed opinions on this one. If you guys want, because it is a pillar. It is a pillar set spell, but it's not necessarily pillar specific.
Sideboard is a wow for me.
Yeah. It's an interesting card. I'll say that it's if you're up against an opponent that is constantly adding cards, and again you can always magical goodbye something to their hand, and that will force a discard as well.
Yeah. I did have a question though regarding the first volume.
Okay.
When it comes to first volume and Never Say Never, do you run both, or is it more of a one or other thing?
It depends on the deck. Most decks right now, like especially with if you're just running size degrees in general, you're gonna need the gauge. So definitely, I mean, in most of my decks, I'm usually running a 4 first volume, 2 Never Say Never, because I feel like the first volume is more important because I need that in the drop. But
Yeah,
I do think
sounds about right.
you run both still.
Yeah, I run both usually.
Yeah.
Like in the Omni deck, I was running 4 and 4 because you need all the gauge you can. Like
Yeah.
Your deck is just expensive.
It is very expensive. I don't blame him.
Like,
Okay, so I'm trying to think of other good cards that you guys have access to. That
There's
you
that
guys,
new Symmetry Pillar's weapon though.
what's
Yeah.
that one?
the book thing.
The book, it's,
Goetta. Oh yeah.
pay a gauge.
When that comes out,
if you
it's
have 3 Symmetry Pillars on the field, it gains like power and crit, and it's originally like 2/1, I think. And it gains power.
it's through. Actually, I think pretty much point for point, it is Burning Fist, except it's a gauge instead of a life.
Yeah.
And if you do have the pillar requirement,
I'm still not a big fan of Burning Fist.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's actually a good point. Yeah, Burning Fist is.
I cannot stand that card. It's just,
Why?
It
it's the
used to
same
be
thing
good.
I never thought it was good. I mean, it's the
I
same thing with
thought it
people
was
trying to
good.
play Burning Bow. That card just people
Well-
love that.
Well, Burning Ball was a big problem because it had 1 extra gauge cost and 1,000 less power, but at least Burning Fist back in the day was able to clear
I
Brave
put it in
Drum. at
Omni
least
Modi because
Soul.
like you'd always pay life anyways, and you would gain life too.
Yeah, Burning Fist was really good when we had a very like low defense like meta when it came to this, like again dungeon and everything. Nowadays, a lot of the big threats tend to actually have a decent amount of defense to them, as well as Soul Guard. So in the long run, No Brainer tends to be more of an issue, like tends to deal with those issues more than Burning Fist could ever hope for.
Mhm.
And
And
in the
there
long
is
run,
there's a new, I think, impact that's like Caliber and Grief for Legend World that Symmetry Pillars also got. Like 6 gauge and for each.
Oh no, that is not an impact. It's actually a spell. But
It's a spell.
Okay.
yeah, for every pillar on your field, it's 6 gauge initially, but for every pillar on your field, it costs 1 gauge less, and that's it. I don't believe it's a Caliber and Grief per se. I
No,
believe
it
it's
starts with
more.
monsters only.
It's more of a night counter, I believe. I'll double check that one because it's a Demon's Concert. Yeah, destroy all monsters in your opponent's field. It's a
Yeah.
night counter.
It's a good card.
Well, better night counter because it kills size 3s as well. It is. I can say it's an interesting card. It's a lot better when you are running the set spells, which is to say I don't really run that many. If you're running Barking Solomon, I guess that's one. But with a full field, it's essentially again just night counter 3 gauge. My only issue is I tend to not have that much gauge when I'm doing my build, so it's if you feel that you're running a very like gauge like not heavy but like just gauge light build of pillars, which I don't know how you're doing that one. It's a great card. Other than that, it's if you're really just like hoping to get gauge, it's not gonna help you.
Alright, here's a card. What do you guys think of the Magic Glue? Magical Glue.
The what?
The counter, choose one of the 2 abilities, return an item on the field to its owner's hand, or rest the size 2 on your
Oh,
field.
Magic Goo.
Magical Glue.
Or,
Magical Glue.
Oh yeah, I call it goo. Weird. I mean, it's like weird disturb. I'll say that much. Or not disturb. God, what am I talking about? Getting my wrong generic spells here. Barbed wire. It's like a magical barbed wire, to say the least. But it returns to the hand. I mean, it's good if your opponent has like a thing that has a really annoying cost to it. But I mean, it really has an annoying cost. That's an item. Off the top of my head. Like, unless they're playing Captain Answer, that'd be hilarious if they are.
I feel like it's a cheaper version of like a cheaper but like less effective version of Oops.
Yeah.
In a way,
Yeah.
but it also stops double
That's what I
attacking
feel as well.
messages.
Yes.
Okay, so
And
believe it or not,
I definitely think it's a good sideboard card, but I don't think it's the main board one.
I'm undecided. I don't know if it's good or not yet.
I think it won't fit into. There's other cards that are better than it, in my opinion.
so we're approaching our hour mark, believe it or not, which is we've been talking about Magic World for just a full hour. Yes. Did you guys want to have any like closing thoughts to talk about any of the Magic World decks at all as we try and wrap up our stream here?
Is Mono Asmodai still good as a budget?
Wait, what? Could you repeat that, Bren?
Is what?
One question I received here is a Mono Asmodai deck basically based on the trial deck still good for a budget deck, or should it be? Is it outclassed?
Is the trial deck still like a relevant thing?
Well, I mean, like the style of the trial deck, basically the Mono Asmodai deck with Asmodai Turtle rolling backdrop. Like, is that still okay?
I mean, we do have a lot of Osmodais as a thing, and yeah, I guess if you, because you can rush a lot with just body dupe and again like body dupe and still control with Demon Lord. My only thing is that would also require other Osmodais, which means you're playing Let's Play Osmodai. You're maxing out more numbers when it comes to Death Modai and Omnidai, which I mean Omnidai again is still amazing. It's just that that's going to be also dealing with your gauge if you're using Turtle Rolling Backdrop. They kind of conflict on that note. And then you're also probably running Champ Modai or something crazy, because you will have to keep your Osmodai numbers up if you're going to properly use Turtle Rolling Backdrop. Like, Backdrop kind of forces you to, like, change your deck to the point where, like, you are going to be running a lot of Osmodai cards, and worst case scenario, you're also running Rock, Paper, Scissors, the Impact. Is that...
that card is insane.
Oh, yeah.
I never ever get lower than 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when I played this deck, it was hilarious. However, I always lost half the time. I have very bad luck when it comes to this sort of thing.
Oh no, it's actually not luck.
My friends play that deck.
What they'll throw, rock paper scissors. You can just watch their wrist.
Yeah, let's put it this way: Turtle Rolling Backdrop combined with Overstand can be really hilarious when you're just chain backdropping. It is a very interesting deck to run. I will say that. However, I really can't vouch for it as far as how the meta is gonna rolling right now. It's a very amazing, like just straight up burn deck, but like if your opponent's playing anything from Chillax to Black Dragon Shield or just anything that just straight up nullifies effect damage, you're in for a wild ride. Also, they're playing Aster.
Before we end the stream.
If they're playing Aster, you're also screwed.
So I want to talk about one more set, if you guys know what that is.
One more set? Yeah.
Wisconsin Asmodai.
Yeah, the Restand Asmodai. Great if you're running that whole Omnimodai only build. Anything else is just kind of horrible. One more set basically is, in my opinion, when you have Omnimodai, is literally a gaugeless hardcore, in my opinion. Because you just literally just restand Omnimodai and then attack for 3 damage. Because if they don't take pen, they can block it, of course, with attack negation, but that's pretty much what it turns out to. It's a 1-card 3 damage if you're running the Omnimodai build. And anything else, it's not that great.
Yeah, and what about the Boy Transformation as well that just came out?
Oh yeah, I completely forgot to mention that. Boy Transformation, I'm actually still trying to fit that into the main deck. It's really awkward because it is a really good card. It's just discarding to do Ideal Mary Sue's ability kind of gets really weird.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not necessarily Mary Sue, only because you return anything to the hand, which is what makes this card a lot better than Mary Sue in that degree. However, just Boy Transformation, it really depends on the matchup. I sideboard into it. I'm debating on where I main deck it, but it's gonna outplay it. It is a good card, and it's something I do want to run, if not in the main, in the side. It's just a matter of how to run it. That's my personal take on it.
Definitely a tricky card.
Definitely a shitty card.
Tricky card.
Oh, that's what I heard. Oh goodness, it's very tricky.
Okay, guys. So, just one more last round for you guys. Anything you guys want to say? Do you guys have any channels you want our viewers to subscribe to? If you're trying to promote anything, shops that you're representing, anything you want to say, I'll let you start first, Bren.
I'm probably the worst person to ask me for cards in this because I don't really have a channel or something to promote. I mean, like I do help out on the Buddyfight Weekly channel, but not much else. Because I'm mainly a Weiss player, not a Buddyfight player, actually.
Fair enough. Rob?
No, I don't post anything online.
Just go to the North America Future Card Buddyfight Facebook
Yeah.
group.
Even though that's the entire point of this stream.
Right. All right, Christian, you got anything you want to finish off with?
Nope, just go to North American. And
Just go to North America.
barely even get to
Really great country.
America.
Go to North America. It's amazing. About to do great things.
I don't exactly have a YouTube. I think we're all kind of on BFA as a thing. I'm Thunderdog. I don't care. That's just my username. If anyone sees me, hi, I'm a person. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I don't have a shop to plug.
All right, we're
I
just
live in
all
New York.
Buddyfight enthusiasts who like to play this game that has a weird name.
I'm a person. That's literally all I can. That's all I can say. I am a person.
But all right, guys. As always, guys, thanks for watching. This was the Magic World stream for the North America Future Card Buddyfight Facebook group. Saying that all at once. And thanks for watching. See you next time.